Hello everyone, my name is Chooks and I'm doing this recording because we had a major hitch over the week in the Google Hangout. Like I said, my name is Chooks and this is the Student2future initiative, which is a part of the Will to Live Consulting. Over the week or over the weekend, we discussed about change, the dimensions of change, but unfortunately we had a lot of audio um, problems. The recorded video on YouTube happens to have a beep, so I'm doing this recording to. I'm just going to do a 30 minutes recording so that you can listen to and gain all the knowledge we shared. Yes, it might not be as interactive as it was, but we just have to do with this for now. I apologize for any inconveniences, and I hope you do like this presentation. I'm going to do the presentation with slides, and you're going to hear my voice in the background. And just as an introduction, this is the Student2future network, and our mission and our vision is to effect change in the world one youth at a time. Who is Jukes? I'm a lifelong learner, I'm an educator, a coach, and most importantly, I'm a teacher. I do not claim to know everything or have all the answers. This is just a forum or a means or a media or source of media that we can use to exchange our ideas and find out what works for us and develop strategies as we go. Attendance is not compulsory and the hangouts are free of cost. Though we need a maximum of 10 participants, every other person can watch the videos while it goes live as well. What's the Student2future network? Like we said in the very first Google Hangout, it's just a hub for interaction. It's just a safe space for young people to come together, develop their ideas, learn new life skills, and most importantly, promote each other's ideas, and while living authentically. I acknowledge everyone who's been part of this initiative and who's been supporting. Thank you so much for the feedback over the course of the week, and especially with our very first hangout. It wasn't perfect, and it's one of those things that we're talking about, which is start from where you are, and we're starting from where we are, what we know, and we're going to keep going until we perfect it and it becomes a much better program. I got a very important feedback to smile, so I'm actually smiling as I'm talking right now. I hope you can hear it in my voice. I'm so grateful for the help and all the feedback you've given so far, and I hope you continue to be a source of input. Just what we would love to hear from you is your feedback from the last sessions, and I've got this few questions here. What was your biggest learning or takeaway from our first hangout? What has changed for you? What is still a challenge, and what is holding you back? How would you like it to be, and what support would you need to move forward? I know we're talking about starting from where you are, and I was just wondering if you could give us feedback or respond to these questions, and it would be great to see how you're progressing, and hoping we're part of this progress. As to recap start from where you are, everybody can become successful if they decide what they want and believe they deserve it. Success is a progress, and it's actually a work in progress. It takes time, but with the necessary effort, perseverance, and the right action, you can go from where you are to where you want to be. Take 100% for the quality of your life. Take responsibility for the energy you bring to whatever space you find yourself. I hope that was a clear message from the very first. It says we should believe we can achieve and learn how to set goals, which is very important. I always tell my students, even in class, that you should always ask and ask and ask, because if you don't ask, you're going to be stuck and you're not going to know how to move forward. Don't take negative feedback personally. Use it to your advantage and learn what you need to improve on. It's always good, as much as we don't like feedback, that we get feedback as often as possible. Now, this week we're looking at change, and the idea behind the change dimension is we've discussed starting from where you are, and now I know one of the most important thing or the most challenging thing is when we start, how do we embrace the change as we go along the way? So I thought this would be a great segue into the change dimension. Now, these are the questions I need you to write and respond to at the end of the session or at the end of this discussion. Now, what is change to you? Well, it's always important to understand what change means to you, and how do you perceive change? Is it positive or is it negative? What specifically would you like to change? Why would I like to make this change? What could be possible if I change? And what are the potential benefits, and for what purpose do we need to change? If you, at the end of this session, I need you to respond to these questions. I'm going to leave the slides on for a few more seconds, and you need to take them down and respond to it at the end of this session. It's always a good process to respond to this question, so you can see how you're growing over the course of these hangouts and these discussions. And if you're willing to share, you can always go to the Facebook Student2future group and respond to them, or just make a comment if you need to. Now, this is my perception of what is change. It's commonly known that change is constant, but for me, it would happen with or without your permission. What's missing in the slides is with your permission. Change can occur with your permission when it is planned, and without your permission when it is unexpected. We're going to look into unexpected and planned change. Now, behind every form of change, or behind every form of hindrance to change, or acceptance, or whatever hinders us from embracing change, is the fear. Now, there's fear. There are three major fears which we're going to be looking at. Now, there's a fear of change, especially a fear of the unknown should change occur. Most of the time, if change happens, we don't know what's going to happen, and we become fear. If we use an example as, I'll use an example as a personal example. When we were experiencing the restructure at the university, most of us didn't know if we're going to have jobs. We didn't know what was going to happen with our lives. Most people had mortgages. Most people had families and children. And that change, that unexpected change, brought about a lot of fear. But over the course of time, people began to embrace it and work out a strategy to survive. Now, why is this important? Why is it important for us to discuss embracing change, or the change dimension? Is because it is an essential aspect of learning and growing. For us to embrace change means that we have accepted that we're going to learn and grow. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. We just have to choose our response. There's only two things we can change. One is our perception of the change, and the other is our procedure, which means how we're going to respond to the change. My question for you is, what would you change today? Now, I just earlier talked about the three fears that surround embracing change, or stops us from changing in most cases. Now, the three most important fears, and I've come to accept this as part of life, because I first of all read it in Susan Jeffers' book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, but I've also sort of done some personal experimentation and identify that each time there's change happening in my life, it's one of these things. So I'm going to ask you, whatever change you're experiencing right now, what is it? What's the fear behind it? Is it fear of not being loved, fear of not belonging, or fear of not being enough? Assess your change and see how you can move forward. Now, I already mentioned that the change will happen with or without your permission, and when it happens with your permission, it means you've planned the change. Now, when it happens without your permission, it's an unexpected change. Unexpected change is forced upon you by unforeseen events and circumstances. Unexpected change is a natural part of life, because nothing lasts forever. It will happen even if you don't think about it, even if you didn't plan it, even if you didn't even smell it. It's just gonna happen. So planned change, on the other hand, is something we choose to want to change. It could be change in our lifestyle, it could be change in our habits, it could be change in our work, career, whatever it is. It's a change you actually plan with purpose to accomplish. Unexpected change is necessary because it leads to growth. Very true, because in most cases it could be a teachable moment. It could be something you need to know to take you to your next stage. Now, it helps you experience life in a new way. It forces you to grow emotionally and physically. Most times when you experience unexpected change, should it occur in a second or third time, you already know you already have better strategies for dealing with it. So in that way, you've grown emotionally and physically. It could signal a new beginning for you, which means new opportunities. Most times we're reluctant to change because we don't know what it means. In some cases, it could be that, okay, it's time to move to the next level, and this change is very important because it's a new beginning for you, which means new opportunities. It helps you develop your resilience and strength of character, which is sort of linked to emotional and physical strength. May even be a catalyst to stimulate your imagination and forces you to think more creatively about your life and about the ultimate destination. It could be a time when sometimes when change occurs, it could be that you need to just sit down in silence and understand what this means for you. Should you rethink the path you're taking? Is life taking in a different direction that should be your ultimate destination? Sometimes we just need to have a think and sit quietly and let it sip. Now, it creates a sense of excitement, not boredom. In most cases, people who are averse to change might be very relaxed in the fact that they're doing the same thing over and over again. For some people, it means, oh my god, this is a new thing and I'm going to run with it, and it's exciting. Now, plan change, like we said, is change you consciously work towards. It could be changes to your health, your finance, your environment, social life, even your lifestyle, including your career if you want to. Now, in embracing unexpected change, I have a few strategies I've learned over the years, and I hope it works for you. I would like to also know what works for you even after this conversation. Now, for me, I feel that you should be mentally prepared for possible unexpected change that may suddenly appear in your life. You should develop courage to provide you with strength to move beyond your fears. Curiosity is very key because it will force you to ask insightful questions. Optimism, which is very, very important, will keep you motivated and moving forward. Now, when you practice an act of gratitude and appreciation, oh, that's such a big thing for most people. You just spend the first hours of your morning just practicing appreciation and gratitude, and just saying thank you for today, and thank you for life, thank you for food, and thank you for the singular grace to be on earth, and all that. You now have it just gives you it motivates you first of all, and it also gives you a reason to see the bigger picture. Creativity will allow you to solve those difficult unexpected problems, because most times it could be this the survival of the fittest, or the kick to survive, that makes you to start thinking outside the box. In most cases, when you embrace unexpected change, it's important to tap into your level of creativity. Prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. Now, this strategy was came out of a discussion with a friend who says that it's always good to have a plan A, plan B, and plan C. For you, it may mean just preparing for the worst case scenario. If anything happens, how am I going to survive? How am I going to deal with this change, if it's good or bad? Now, prepare yourself for worst case scenario. It is not what happens to you, but rather how you respond to the unexpected event and circumstances of your life that will make all the difference in the end. So it's about choosing your response, choosing how you respond to change. Would you be one of those people who chooses to act above the line and below the line? Are you taking responsibility for the energy you bring to the space? Are you taking responsibility for your action? Are you choosing not to blame people? Are you choosing to focus on what's next and how can I learn from this? It's always important to think long term, not short term. Think about the bigger picture, not about what's happening now. Embracing plan change will have there are a few similarities there. Keep things simple to help you focus on what is important. When you're planning change, it's always important not to do several changes at the same time, because it could lead to overwhelm. And once it leads to overwhelm, you begin to act below the line. You begin to blame, you begin to procrastinate, and all that. So keep things simple. Stretch yourself by stepping out of your comfort zone. Things that are very uncomfortable, try and do them, or don't try, do them, because there is always a teachable moment, and there's a time to grow when you do those things. Change can only be made when you show a willingness to do something different, something that causes you some form of discomfort. Expect things will not always go your way. I think that's a given. I don't know if anyone has everything go their way. If you do, please, I'd like to hear from you on how you work out that strategy. But my strategy here is to expect things will not always go your way. Things will not always go as you plan them. Maintain high levels of motivation and take responsibility for your decisions and actions. Change must come from within before it can manifest in the physical world. Now, this means you need to be at a place where you're at peace with your change and your decision to make a change. It's identify for what purpose you want to make the change, for it to begin to manifest in the physical world. This is a very important tool in terms of visualization. Maybe down the track we'll talk about visualization as a tool for creating something. Don't rely on other people to take responsibility for your progress. You are solely responsibility for your progress, so do it at your own pace. And I also suggest that you don't take things too seriously. Just enjoy the process. Avoid worrying about short-term results and focus on long-term. It cannot be overemphasized. That is a big strategy. Focus on long-term, not short-term. Do not make too many changes at once, especially during the early stage. Now, these are my core strategies. My strategies for embracing and harnessing the power of change, however good or bad we perceive, include assess. This is what I do. I assess if the change is within my control, and if it's not, I choose to have a positive response to a negative event. Now, if the change is perceived as positive but not actually if the change is perceived as negative but not actually negative, there might be an opportunity to learn and grow. So run with it. I'll tell you this from experience. Run with it. If you perceive it as negative at the time, but it's going to happen anyway, it could be an unexpected change, I always suggest that you run with it, because there is something to learn and grow. Now, in the event that it is a positive change, embrace it. It could be an opportunity to move forward in response to a personal intention put out previously. Most times we put out intentions. I don't know if any of you have used or utilized the power of intention, which means at your quiet time, intend for things, ask for what you want, and believe that it will come. In most cases, changes actually occur because they've been married to the intention you put out previously. Deal with it from outside in and evaluate and accept the value added, and ensure you do it without emotions. Being emotional it's always important that you try to manage your emotions during change, because it could be a very hard experience or challenging experience. But if you can evaluate the value added and focus on the value added, you will be able to get through it. When you can't see value added, trust the process. It's also ties with the bit about running with it. Trust the process, and remember, every delay is not denial. Sometimes when it is not value added, it could be a teachable moment. Focus on the teaching. It's all about learning, so focus on the teaching, what you're going to take from it, and move forward. Now, my words of wisdom as we come towards the end of this recording is to remember that no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should be, so be at peace with yourself. Leave room for serendipity. This means things are going to happen automatically. You just have to be at peace with yourself and trust that you'll be looked after in some shape or form. Use your life as a class. Write the lessons and teach your story. Everyone has a story. Talk about your story and help people move forward. Your life is your class. Now, I also thought that from feedback to include some nuggets for success, especially for professional development, because some students of mine have said they want to look into developing themselves professionally in terms of resume, in terms of SWOT analysis, how to present themselves, how to network, and that's the bigger picture for Student2future, linking and educating each other and moving each other forward. So I'm going to begin this nuggets for success. We're going to look at personal SWOT analysis. Why is this important? It's also always important to be able to identify your strengths and weaknesses just before you go into an interview, and also before you pick a job that suits you. Now, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing what they would help you identify what opportunities are available for you. And when you also know the threats, you are better able to reinvent yourself or manage it in a way that you are harnessing the best of your abilities. Knowing your strengths is good. I hear a lot of people say know your strengths and work with your strengths, and forget about your weaknesses. It's up to you. I'll say this with caution because different people have different schools of thought. I have a coach or a friend of mine who says know your strengths and delegate your weaknesses. If that would work for you, that's good. For me, I come from a school of thought to constantly grow, so I'm happy to harness and grow my strength, but at the same time I want to identify my weaknesses and also be able to harness it, learn and build them and drag them towards the strength as well. So whatever works for you, I would like to know how it works for you in terms of SWOT analysis. I've done a SWOT analysis. I know what my strengths are, I know what my weaknesses are. In terms of weaknesses, I know I don't like I used to struggle with public speaking, but I'm putting my best foot forward. I'm communicating over the phone, I'm communicating over the internet, whatever it is, I'm putting my best foot forward, hoping that one day I'll become a really, really good public speaker. So I'm going to advise every young person out there, make a box like this or a grid like this, identify your strengths, know what your weaknesses are, then identify what opportunities are available to you. What are threats? Identify what those threats are. When you're able to do this, you're able to discuss better in your job interviews. You're able to identify what positions would best suit you, and it helps you make better decisions. Once you know what your strengths are, you can say yes, I can do this job, and no, I can do this job, no, I need to look elsewhere. Once you know these things, you're able to walk into an environment and just know that I will fit in, no, I won't fit in. You'll be able to answer those questions. So I'm going to encourage you to identify what your strengths are, identify what your weaknesses are, and choose how you want to manage your weaknesses. So you can choose to grow and learn from them, or improve them to become strength. I don't know. You can choose to delegate them. If I think my friend was coming from a business perspective where she feels that she doesn't want to waste it as a time effective or time management skill, she'd rather delegate her weakness. At some point, yes, you can do that, but as a young person, I feel you should be developing yourself until you get to the position where it becomes a time management strategy to delegate your weaknesses. I hope this helped, and I hope it made some sense. Now I always love feedback because feedback is gold for me, and beginning to grow this with your support would mean taking your feedback and moving forward. Send us your comments and valuable feedback on how we can add value to your experience. Send it to info@w2lconsulting.com. I'm still putting up this special request, looking for people who are excellent at social media, events, organizing, doing promotions, or your ideas. If you know how we can make this a very, very valuable experience for you or for everyone who's going to be part of this, come and teach us. We want to learn. I don't know everything. I'm putting it out there. I don't know everything. I'm doing the best I can with the skills I am. I know I'm learning as I grow, and I would like people to come on this journey and also learn and help us build. It would be great to be great. The bigger picture, like we said, is we want to be able to put up networking events on the Facebook group, organize one ourselves, get people talking, promoting their ideas, having small mini workshop with different presenters. I would also love to see someone else do a hangout one day as part of Student2future. It would be great. I look forward to hearing your feedback and also someone responding to this special request, whether it's social media, promoting the network, managing hangouts, and other major events in the. Now, my quote, you guys know that I always love my quotes, and this is my quote for the day. To exist is to change is to mature. To mature is to go on creating oneself endlessly. I'm picking these quotes because they tie into the idea of the change dimension as a Google Hangout topic. And the other one is, a wise man adapts himself to circumstances as water shapes itself to the vessel that it contains. It's a Chinese proverb, one of my very best, and it talks about behavioral flexibility, how you can be adaptable. The first one is all about learning, maturing, developing yourself, choosing to see life as a class. Now, I would like to know what your favorite quotes are around embracing change. Post it on the Student2future network group on Facebook. Now, I always like to end with resources for growth, and I'm only going to suggest things based on my reading and learning experience. Like I mentioned earlier, I read the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. She's an awesome author. Amazing books she's released. I haven't read all of them, but I've read this as part of my coaching journey. The other one is by Tony Buzan. It's Embracing Change, Essential Steps to Make Your Future Today. Tony has a lot of steps there in his book, and whatever would work. Now, the key to the sessions is we having conversations and identifying what works and what doesn't work. What works for me may not necessarily work for you. You might find a different strategy from somewhere else. I would love to hear your strategies of how you've been moving forward. Thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for your patience. I apologize about the technical hitches over the weekend. I hope I will see you in the next hangout. It's been a pleasure doing this, and I know it's not very interactive, but it's still beautiful as long as you can hear my voice, and my voice is speaking to your spirit, and I'm encouraging you to start from where you are. Secondly, I'm encouraging you to embrace change. It's your very important learning tool to grow and develop as an individual. Thank you. Our next hangout on air, probably looking at introduce you, but this is a tentative topic. We're going to look at the elevator pitch. How do you introduce yourself? How have you immersed yourself in your identity? Who are you as a person? What's the first thing people want to know about you when they see you? How do you come across after a conversation with someone? How do you read other people? So we're going to look at how you represent yourself. Our nuggets for success, we'll be looking at what's in your resume and how you can develop. Thank you so much for today, and I hope you have an exceptional week. These are the reminders for the day.